Hi, we're here today to talk about the CU Denver Decision Support Toolkit. I'm Dave Deffenbacher from Institutional Research.
And I'm David Doig from the Budget Office.
And our two offices together have collaborated along with a number of executive sponsors and other key users on the campus in a project that we call the Decision Support Toolkit. It's really a large business intelligence decision support platform really designed to get at the core data needs for everyday decision making, as well as longer term strategic planning and decision making for the institution. And just to give a little bit of history of what the project is and why people on campus and even outside of campus have been interested in it. It was really born out a few years ago out of a campus transition to an incentive-based budget model for the schools and colleges and for central support units. And as that project evolved and as the budget model took form, we really realized that there were some significant needs both to pull together existing resources as well as to enhance resources around data-informed decision making. And so the Decision Support Toolkit really came out of that budget model, but it's not strictly a fiscal planning tool. Really, the fiscal health of the campus and fiscal decision making is much broader, involves a lot of academic and non-academic data about the institution. And the key important driver for all of this is to really get key decision making data points in the hands of users that can make those decisions on them, to do that in a timely way and in a comprehensive way to make that as easy as possible and as deep an experience as possible. So we want to share a little bit more information about the objectives behind the Decision Support Toolkit, and then we'll go through a few examples of how it works, some hands-on demo of some of the key modules of the Decision Support Toolkit, and David will tell you a little bit more about that in a moment. So some of the main objectives that were in play and continue to be in play as the tool evolves. As I mentioned, this really was built to be a decision support platform to help make data-informed decision-making a reality for decision makers at all levels of the institution. Since it was born out of the incentive-based budget model, many of the themes initially were around increasing revenues, containing costs, reallocating resources, all the goals of that budget model. But we've also continued to evolve beyond just those fiscal considerations. And it is a flexible platform. We're trying to be as responsive as we can to new strategic initiatives, new institutional challenges that arise, as well as user feedback, really making this a tool that the campus and the individual users own and that can evolve and change as their needs change. As I mentioned, it really was meant to be kind of a one-stop shop. So bringing together some identified needs already that existed on campus, some new data resources, pulling those things together, putting more information side by side to try to really facilitate insight in areas that if you look at one report over here, one dashboard over there, you may not be able to get that comprehensive insight that you get by seeing things side by side in the same context. And in some cases, we may have had some existing tools that just needed to be easier to access. Or there were small gaps in those tools that could be served by this tool as well. And so some of the school and college audience that we were working with initially had identified data needs that this was a great opportunity to fulfill as well. We're really trying to continue to innovate based on user experience to not just put existing reports, existing dashboards in a shinier new package, but really to add additional guidance, additional context and interpretation behind data. So you're not just looking at a data point, you're not just looking at one graph, but we've put some narrative, some text around it, and wherever we can, continuing to then take that off the page and consult with individuals on specific uses that they have. And again, that helps us get feedback and really evolve the tools. And in order to do all that, we really had to have this be a broad collaboration. So our office, Institutional Research, David's office in Budget and Fiscal Planning, very heavily involved with regular ongoing working sessions to build all this out, but also close collaboration with our information technology folks, human resources, student success, and other units that really have the content knowledge and the background information that help us make the data come to life and make it usable for as wide an audience as possible.
Thanks, Dave. So now we'd like to give you a quick demo of what is inside the toolkit. It all starts with our website. We've hosted our decision support toolkit on the institutional research webpage for users to use as a starting point for their analyses. It starts with a high-level introduction, gives users an idea of where to start and how to flow through the decision support toolkit. We have some announcements and updates on what's going on. And then we have links to each of our current 4 modules. Our current 4 modules are the unit profile, which is a high-level overview of a school's and college's inputs and outputs. Then we have our program performance module. Here's where we start to dive into trends and comparisons across programs within our schools and colleges. Our course efficiencies module is all about the way we utilize our sections in our course offerings. And then the instruction insight module really starts to get down into instructional costs and outputs in your unit and how we leverage our instructional resources. Then moving down, we have our resources area, which is a lot of great information to help users guide themselves through each of our modules. We have PDF versions of our user guides, as well as some video walkthroughs. All right, our first module we'll be looking at is our unit profile. The unit profile, as I said, is a really high-level view of what's going on in all different areas of our schools and colleges. So the first chart shows us comparisons from the schools and colleges within our university. We have information on student headcount, credit hours, revenue from those credit hours, sections offered, faculty and staff headcount, and expenditures. Then we take a look at a lot of these metrics over time for a specific college that we have filtered on. We're looking at stats on students, courses, and faculty and staff. So now once we have a good idea of what's going on at a very high level, now we'll start to dig in a little bit deeper with our unit profile department detail page. The department detail is essentially all of those metrics again at a very high level, but now broken out by department. Moving down to the breakdown section, this is what sets the toolkit apart from a lot of other reporting initiatives that we've had in the past. Here's where we start to put some analysis to your data. This area allows us to look at 2 different metrics, usually one associated with an input and the other with an output, or one with a cost and one with a revenue, and allows us to see how they're trending. The first area, we see a department comparison for the 2 metrics selected. In this case, it's organized sections offered as in comparison to instructional credit hours. Now we get to see in our departments how each of those metrics compare at a department level. Things to look out for in this case would be areas that seem to have, for instance, higher section counts to credit hours, meaning supply and demand might not be aligning well. We also see those 2 metrics and the trend and how they're trending over time. Another great feature of the department, of the breakdown section is our interpretation area. So we see a literal interpretation of what we should be looking for when we're seeing those 2 metrics combined in each of these visualizations. After gaining some idea of now what to look out for and maybe starting to dig in deeper with some more granular information, this area starts breaking things down at the most granular level of this page. Now we're seeing stats on programs. We're seeing stats on subject level information. And then more information on revenue in terms of students and subjects within this particular unit.
Thanks, David. So David really showed you a wide variety of data that it really is just the tip of the iceberg. As we mentioned, we have 4 main modules in this first iteration of the toolkit. This first project was really based around school and college data needs, although you can probably see the wide applicability, both for fiscal planning as well as other academic planning and programmatic work that schools, colleges, and the institution as a whole may need to do. And as we mentioned, this is really meant to be an evolving platform. So we've already made several changes within the 4 modules that are out there based on user feedback, based on additional initiatives that have been going on the campus. And we will continue to make changes to those, as well as building out additional modules as needs evolve. We really want to make it kind of the hub for data-informed decision-making, for fiscal purposes, for academic planning, for long-term strategic planning, as I mentioned, and really to let the users on the campus drive the needs that they bring their needs forward and drive what it looks like, what it feels like, and what that experience is. Happy to talk more with anybody who's interested in finding out more about the toolkit. Just find us on the website. We have our contact information there. And thanks for taking a few minutes to learn a little bit more about the CU Denver Decision Support Toolkit, and hope you enjoyed it.